Dreams are messages from the deep.
This is the first line we hear in Dune, Part 1. Now listen carefully to the following statement. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, said Sigmund Freud. His follower, Carl Jung, agreed with this and actively used dreams in his therapeutic work. The author of Dune, Frank Herbert, seems to have been inspired not only by ancient Greek mythology, but also to have drawn on some of Jung's ideas. Doesn't it seem to you that the ancestral voices of the Bene Gesserit resemble Jung's collective unconscious? Jung distinguishes between consciousness, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. Consciousness is what we inhabit every day, here and now. The personal unconscious consists of conflicts and memories that once existed in consciousness, but are now repressed, forgotten, and pushed into the unconscious. The collective unconscious is the experience and knowledge of previous generations, a repository of latent memory traces of humanity, and even of our pre-human ancestors, a spiritual inheritance of everything humanity has lived through, to which, according to Jung, everyone has access. For some, this access is blocked. For others, it is limited, and for some, it is significantly more developed. According to Jung, this capacity can and should be developed in order to become a whole person. This is one of the aims of therapy. The collective unconscious has no time or space. It simply exists. According to both Jung and Freud, the unconscious breaks into our consciousness through slips of the tongue, mistakes, and especially dreams. One of the main tools in the work of both the psychoanalyst and the Jungian analyst is the interpretation of dreams. That is, when you come to such a specialist, you will be talking about your dreams and attempting to interpret them. And this is an important part of therapy. And once again, I have a sense of déjà vu. It is as if the Bene Gesserit and Paul, somewhat trained by his mother, in a certain sense have access to the collective unconscious. But the Bene Gesserit are limited. They hear only the voices along the female line. According to Herbert, they do not hear the male voices. Jung would say that they have no access to their animus, their inner masculine aspect, and therefore, in Jungian terms, they cannot fully complete individuation. And so, through their breeding program, they attempt to produce such a superhuman, one who will have access to all the voices of the collective unconscious, and will complete full individuation in Jung's sense. Individuation, in Jung's theory, is a person who has come to know and accept their different parts. Persona and shadow, anima and animus, their feminine and masculine aspects, their conscious and their unconscious. In a sense, they have married all these parts together, according to the Jung's model of the psyche. And it is as if the Bene Gesserit breeding program of crossing the great houses resembles Jung's idea of integrating all these parts. Let us begin with persona and shadow. If you have ever been in the office of a therapist practicing Jungian analysis, that therapist has likely tried to introduce you to your shadow. The shadow is your opposite, your alter ego, your hide, which, according to Jung, exists in all of us. A practical exercise. Write down 10 adjectives that describe you. Now, next to each one, write the exact opposite adjective. This is your shadow. In Jungian analysis, as well as in many other approaches in psychology, therapists explore a client's alter ego and other parts of the psyche. The client's task, with the help of the therapist, is to come to accept these different parts within themselves. That we can be not only kind, but also angry, not only loving, but also hating, not only generous, but also miserly, and so on. Thus, according to Jung, the personality becomes more whole and moves toward the self, in existential terms toward authenticity, by accepting these different parts while remaining an integrated person. Jung spoke of the importance of integrating the shadow into the persona, so that a person knows how to use it for their own benefit and for the benefit of others. Something very much in the spirit of the Bene Gesserit idea of the greater good. Now we return to Dune. Doesn't it seem that Paul is, in a sense, the attempt to unite persona and shadow? House Atreides is the persona with its admirable qualities. House Harkonnen is its opposite, the shadow. So, the Bene Gesserit seek to marry, to cross, this persona and this shadow, in order to create a superhuman who will possess both parts and use them for the good of the future. And this is not just symbolic, it's literal. As revealed in Dune Part 2, Paul's mother, Lady Jessica, is the daughter of Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, which means Paul is, in fact, the result of a deliberate cross between House Atreides and House Harkonnen. He carries both bloodlines within him, both the persona and the shadow, not only psychologically but biologically. Now we move to the next element in creating this superhuman, his ability to connect to the collective unconscious and draw experience and knowledge from it. How can consciousness be expanded? The author was likely asking this question, and he did not have to think long. Because in the 1960s, many creative figures were actively doing exactly this through psychoactive substances and LSD, which at that time was gaining popularity and was even used in treatment. Let us pay attention to the quote that opens the second part of Dune. Control over spice is control over all. Control over spice is control over everything. It sounds ominous, especially when one recalls the Opium Wars. Spice or melange is what is harvested on Arrakis. It is a kind of conductor, like fuel into other worlds, but also a hallucinogenic conductor that, apparently like LSD in the 1960s, is capable of opening doors into the unconscious, into the experience of ancestors. The Bene Gesserit actively use it. This spice, and later another psychedelic substance produced from the sandworm, opens the collective unconscious for Paul Atreides. He hallucinates while awake. His dreams break into his conscious mind. He begins to hear the voices of his ancestors, entering the deepest level of contact with what Carl Jung would call the collective unconscious. At the same time, Paul gains access to both female and male ancestral memories, which, in Jungian terms, can be understood as Paul gaining access to his anima, his feminine aspect. Further supporting the idea that the main character has a strong connection to his anima is the fact that the one who was supposed to be born a girl is instead born a boy. As you may recall, Lady Jessica disobeyed the orders of the Bene Gesserit and chose to bear a son instead of a daughter. In a sense, this is a girl in a boy's body. This is how a psychoanalyst might describe it. Jung would say that Paul has reached the highest level of individuation. He has come to know and master all parts of himself. He has made the unconscious conscious, integrating persona and shadow, as well as anima and animus. In other words, from a Jungian perspective, Paul's therapy has been successful. So it seems that the author of Dune was indeed inspired by Jung's ideas of the collective unconscious and individuation. Jung's theories became widely known in the 1960s and 70s, which coincides with the time when Dune was written.
I'd love to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.